Alright guys, and welcome to another video. Today, I'm going to be talking about some of my unfiltered major concerns about Fresh Classic Season of Mastery. I've got 7 major concerns that I want to talk about. Be sure to tell me what you also think in the comment section below. Tell me what concerns you have. May as well jump straight in. And this is probably my biggest concern of all of them, is how we're getting patch 1.12 PvP gear on launch. When you also bear in mind how, getting Grand Marshal now takes half the time, it's twice as easy. I mean, Grand Marshal PvP gear is effectively as powerful as AQ40 gear. So what is the actual point in doing Molten Core in Phase 1 when you can just grind PvP for 1.5 months and get AQ40 gear, and then steamroll through Molten Core and probably Blackwing Lair? To me, it seems a little stupid to have such powerful gear in Phase 1 of the game. I know it takes a long time to get Grand Marshal gear, don't get me wrong, but for those hardcore gamers out there, what is the actual point of them doing raids when they can just do PvP to get the AQ40 level gear? Why aren't Blizzard releasing the nerfed version of the PvP gear in Phase 1 and then releasing the Naxxramas patch PvP gear later? I mean, I know some of the raid gear in Molten Core is better than the PvP gear, but it still seems, just a little silly that you would have such strong gear available in Phase 1. I mean, for me personally, I'm not even sure if I'll bother doing that many raids in Phase 1. I think I'll just grind PvP, because even getting some rank 10 gear will actually provide you best in slot gear, and we can rank up twice as fast now with the PvP changes. But anyway, let's move on. Now, don't get me wrong, I like all of the new raid mechanics. I think they're very cool. I like how the raids are going to be harder now. However, it seems like a lot of the mechanics are very anti-melee. That could potentially be a problem, because then you have the exact same problem that TBC Classic has, where range classes reign supreme, and therefore there'd be less diverse raid compositions, because everyone will just stack, hunters, mages, and warlocks to overcome anti-melee mechanics. I think everyone's obviously very happy that, with all these new changes, people won't stack warriors as much. But I think what will happen instead, probably, is just another class will get stacked. So with Blizzard introducing these new changes to combat, class stacking and all the boring metas that came with Classic WoW, they'll just make a new meta where a different class is stacked, and then we'll just have the same kind of issues all over again. I mean, they're already doing this without introducing major class changes, which I know a lot of people are fairly angry about, because again, it makes raid compositions just somewhat more boring and less diverse. Another quick issue that I want to get out of the way is the early release date. It just seems like this release date came out of nowhere. Wait, what? It's coming out in a couple of weeks? Yeah, that's not going to be ready. I mean, it just won't, will it? I imagine there'll be a lot of bugs, a lot of gold exploits, and who knows what that's going to come out on release, because they haven't really, taken the time to do more thorough beta testing. Now, this 40% XP buff is definitely a great thing, definitely a step forward, but the issue is that it only affects quest experience, which is, it can be seen as a good thing, because it encourages people to go out in the open world and not grind dungeons, because that's the most efficient way to get XP. That also means, though, that the open world is going to be absolutely packed with players, okay? And if they don't layer Classic Fresh as good as they layered the TBC Classic launch, then it's going to be extremely frustrating to do basic stuff like completing a quest. For instance, killing a named mob and having to queue up behind 20 other people to kill a particular named mob. Oh, and obviously the unbelievable lag that will inevitably come when they do not layer the servers enough. And also they probably will underestimate the hype for Classic WoW again and not physically even release enough servers, and therefore there will be ludicrous server queues once again. Now, let's backtrack and talk about gear once again. So we now know that the epic dungeon sets will be available on launch. Not extremely impactful, unless you remember how ridiculously overpowered the rogue dungeon set is basically as powerful as AQ40 gear again, like the PvP gear. So a combination of PvP gear and I think it's pretty sure it's the force set bonus, I'm going to check, that, you know, gives you that extra cheeky energy tick when you know, equipped with the epic Dark Mantle set, then rogues are going to be, well, just stupidly overpowered. Yes, I just double checked, you only need 4 pieces of the Dark Mantle set to get this, you know, energy tick, and then you can combine this with rank 14, well, rank 10 to 14 PvP gear. Yeah, I definitely think rogues are just going to be the absolute kings of Phase 1 again. So even though I just said that range may be stacked, I don't know, I actually starting to think that maybe rogues will be stacked, and rogues will climb a country mile ahead of warriors. So I definitely think rogues are going to have a severe advantage over other classes early on in Classic WoW, up until, well, until AQ40 basically. So I'm calling it. I think there's going to be a lot of range classes being stacked and a lot of rogues being stacked. Now, another big thing I'm really concerned about is we haven't mentioned anything about PvP queues. So obviously, we know this by now, most people play Horde in Classic WoW because they just, I don't know, they just like Horde races, they like the ratios and PvP, whatever reason. I don't really want to, you know, go into a massive, you know, theory craft about that. Most people play Horde, which means Horde get ludicrously long PvP queues up until 20 minutes, or, you know, we're talking like 2 hours to get into an Altaric Valley. That was like, you know, when it was at its worst in Classic WoW. They haven't mentioned anything about counteracting that issue. Obviously, they've made steps to counteract that issue in TBC Classic by allowing the Horde to go against other Horde teams. And then, you know, bosh, they've fixed it. Are they going to do that in Classic WoW? Because that's something I'm a little bit concerned about, because I do want to play Horde, right? But I also don't want to play Horde if I'm going to get a 20-minute queue just to queue for a basic Warsong Gulch. So I'm just hoping, got my fingers crossed, that the factions are going to be more balanced this time round, and hopefully, you know, when there is issues, they will introduce same faction battlegrounds at a later date. But there you go, guys, those are my major concerns. Let me know what other concerns you have in the comment section below. Be interesting to read them. Maybe I can make a little bit of a follow-up video. My name is MetaGoblin. To my next video. Ciao.